Hello, this is Daniel Buzzmore with the Loving Presence Podcast, episode 6. And today we're going to talk about the parts of us that we don't express, we don't allow, we don't give space to. And really, in our lives, a lot of us kind of learn to not say certain things and to be really afraid of what we have to say and express. And I know for me, and I think a lot of men feel this way, and probably a lot of women too. We've been conditioned to be nice in these days and ages and avoid conflict so we don't turn into kind of what's today's term toxic masculinity, which is like mm, angry, violent, gaslighting, um, kind of controlling behaviors that men have demonstrated over their lives. But then, when this topic of kind of what we've been talking about in all these videos, what we've been talking about all this time is really about the middle way. And so, men for a lot of history have been very mostly controlling figures and abusing power. Now, society becoming more feminine, men have been becoming more feminine. We need to notice that now it's kind of we're turning the other way around. Men are becoming feminine, but also men are becoming um, shut down emotionally, maybe oversensitive, scared, weak. And I say weak is kind of a challenging term because often it's been used in a judgmental way. But by weak, I mean men are scared to be themselves. They're kind of being neutered. And to me, that's how the pendulum swinging too far the other way around, too far to the right, to the masculine. Now it's swinging too far to the left, to the feminine. And this is really important because we can view this kind of pendulum swinging in many areas of life in what is now often termed the polycrisis of humanity, where people are swinging to extremes. And swinging to extremes is a sign of being out of touch with the natural harmony, the natural way of life. What Lao Tzu, the ancient sage, calls the Tao, the way. And so being in the way, living in harmony with life, is also about noticing where are we on the pendulum and noticing if we swung too far out of alignment through awareness, bringing it back, learning to find the middle way. And I think men have often lost that. A lot of men in relationship dynamics these days find themselves emotionally abused by their female partners and feeling scared of them, which means also women have become out of alignment too far to the masculine. So it's not healthy for either side. It wasn't particularly healthy before, and now there's this kind of correction. Hopefully, it will come back to some middle, but my job here is to point that out, how men have become scared of women. And it's quite well known now, I think, hearing kind of podcasts and blogs and researchers about it, that men are scared of women, men are scared to date, young men specifically. They don't go out of the house a lot, a lot of them live with their parents. To me, it's a sign of this kind of man that's being developed in society that's completely neutered of his masculine powers and scared of them because they're not integrated. Because a lot of these men do have unintegrated dark masculine sides. And for me, I can share where I found myself kind of scared of my own masculinity and kind of boundaries is finding out really it was fear of the power in myself, fear that I will abuse that power to hurt other people. So the unconscious belief and kind of response was, let's just neuter my own power. And I think that in a society, humanity scale, worldwide way, especially in the West, it's been happening more and more. Men neutering their power because of they're afraid of dark sides of their masculinity, because we're not that far off the shadow of it being mostly unpunished to abuse women and abuse power and abuse other men too in different ways. And in many parts of the world, it's still going on. And in some parts, also in the West, it's going on in secret. And so that's not that long ago, and it's still happening. And so a lot of us men get scared of our own power. And that's where it becomes really important to be honest about the dark sides of our masculinity that have been kind of passed down ancestrally and collectively through generations of men, and really do the work to integrate those dark aspects of our masculinity so that they don't stay dark anymore, and so that we can come back to our power but use it in a healthy way, in a good positive way. To me, that is so important now. And so today's episode is really bringing that up to awareness, as I am doing that for myself also. And I invite the women to do that for yourselves too. Of where are you afraid of your own power? And where are you not expressing your voice and why? It could be different reasons. One of them I find is, oh, I'm afraid other people won't like me. Well, then let me be okay with other people not liking me and accepting that rather than being so afraid of it. Accepting that, yeah, some people won't like me. Okay, that's okay. All in this kind of great learning to be more integrated in ourselves in the middle way and be a fuller version of ourselves, because it's a joy to live that way. It's also a service to humanity that more men and women embrace their power, live with healthy usage of power. Because there's so many people who are not afraid of power because they're not afraid of abusing and hurting others. So being afraid of having power is also a sign of our own sanity, our own conscience. But then also let that not neuter us. And let us be brave as people who bring compassion to the world, people who can sit in the fire and bring the presence of love. And as people who are true to ourselves, it's really valuable. Live true to ourselves. So, to finish off this episode, really, I want to invite you to ask yourself two questions. A, what are you not expressing that's alive inside of you in your being? And B, why? And really look at that, really explore that. So the A is like, could be art, could be something you're passionate about, could be a boundary you're not putting, could be a difficult conversation you're postponing. What is it for you? Could be a few things, write those down. And B, why? And the why will help you spot the resistance, the fears, the unconscious beliefs, so that they don't have to rule you anymore. So peace be with you. And I pray that this is a help for you. Thank you.